Hi guys, so today we're going to go ahead and talk about Android. I'm going to have more series of these. I'm actually recording this video on the Note 5 front camera in 1080p. I'm recording in 1080p because it does have 1440p, but it does have a limit of 5 minutes, unless you can also hack that, by the way. Anyway, I just want to talk about Android. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about Galaxy Note 5 and the LG V10. I know I'm driving. I have a lot of thoughts, but I could make a complete nice video with sliding shots and all of that. But the thoughts are the same, so I thought I might give you a quick comparison between the two. For those of you wondering whether to get the Galaxy Note 5 or the LG V10, by watching this video, it can help you decide, I guess. So let's talk about the first thing, the size on the thing. For the LG V10, it's a little bit taller, a little bit wider than the Note 5. I haven't had any issues with the size. It's a little bit bigger than the Note 5. Like I said before, it doesn't really bother me that much, but it is a lot bigger. What I noticed, because it's a lot longer, if I wear certain shorts or pants that have like kind of a low pockets, I find that the LG V10 is more prone to falling out because it's so long. Whereas the Note 5, it's just perfect for most of my pants and shorts. So if you wear a lot of shorts or pants that have very short pockets, and you like to put your phone in your pocket, that could pose a problem. But other than that, I mean, LG V10 is more rugged than the Note 5, of course. Of course, you use a case. I use a case on the Note 5 anyways. So really, I don't think size really doesn't matter. It's whether you like phablets or you don't. All right. Next, let's talk about the display. Display on the Note 5, you get about 750 nits on full brightness, while the LG V10 you get about 400 nits. Now the Note 5 also gets even brighter. It'll go beyond 1000 nits. If you're using it in the sun, it automatically switches if you put on auto mode. So in terms of brightness, not crispness or color correct, the Note 5 is a lot brighter. You're going to be able to see it in the sun a lot better. So if that's an issue to you, Note 5 is a lot better. All right, with that said, as far as the details, the correct colors coming out of it, the LG V10 screen is, I think, a lot better. It reproduces more real colors, where the Note 5 is a lot more saturated. So if you're like a photographer and you're really sensitive about the actual reproduction of real colors, the LG V10, I think, is a lot better. More natural, more not saturated. I mean, it's good. As far as details, both 1440p screens are pretty much equal in terms of that. So just think of it this way: do you want more brightness, or do you want more of a natural color? What is more important to you? So in terms of display, that's where I put it. All right. Next, let's talk about processor. All right. As far as the performance on the Exynos 7420 on the Note 5, it is just so fast. There's absolutely no lags, even with TouchWiz. TouchWiz is actually really good, as starting with this year. I mean, even with the Note 4, it was pretty good. With the Note 5, you will not see any lags, especially if you're playing a lot of games, or if you're recording a video like this for a long time. You'll not see lag, you'll not see freezes. So in terms of that, it's really good. And even in benchmarks, you'll get like 30% better benchmark scores than LG V10 or any Qualcomm 810 or 808. So in terms of performance, how long this phone is going to last you, and just having that really fast performance, the Note 4 is definitely the performance. So even me now, I was using the LG V10 for a week, but I was noticing some lags and freezing, especially when I'm periscoping with it, or I'm using the phone in the sun and using the camera. Anything that requires a lot of media, or if I'm listening to Bluetooth and playing graphic intensive game, then sometimes the actual game like slows down. So the performance is still an issue, I think, with 808 and A10. A10 I actually don't notice as much. With 808, you also get DDR3 instead of DDR4, so that's another issue. So I feel like performance is a huge issue. I mean, if all you do is like my dad, like you check emails, you know, you don't really do much, you don't play a lot of apps and stuff, you just use your phone to make calls or check your emails, all of this performance is not going to matter. But if you're a heavy user who likes to use the camera, listen to music, or watch, you know, 4K videos or 2K videos or whatever that requires a lot of CPU power, a power user, you always feel like even the slightest lag bothers you, then I think the Note 4 is a better choice. So as far as performance, LG V10 is honestly very disappointing. It is fast enough, like I said in my review, but if you're a power user like myself who likes to take a lot of videos, you know, consume a lot of video media that requires a lot of CPU, GPU power, you're going to be simply disappointed, LG V10. All right, so that's a huge disappointment. As far as the cameras go, camera is actually pretty even. The back camera, the stabilization, I would say the Note 5 is slightly better, but you know, that's if you kind of do extreme tests where you're walking and stuff. I mean, even in walking, if you record in 1080p, the LG V10 does have additional stabilization, which basically crops out 4K video into 1080p and gets rid of all your shakes and whatnot. So in that terms, it's really good. The Note 5 is also really good. So cameras, I would say they're about even. And the manual controls on the LG V10 are a lot better if you're making videos. But I found that in most situations, in bright sunlight or in bright light, the manual mode sort of becomes useless, because you can't set the frames per second low enough. The shutter speed, you can't set it low enough. So what happens is you end up, you know, using this high shutter speed anyways, which beats the point of using manual mode. But in certain situations like manual focusing, I found that the LG V10 works a lot better, and also it has a higher ISO range for manual mode, so you can do much lower light videos in manual mode. So it's just a small difference, but I don't know, I just feel like until smartphones have this thing called ND filter, the manual mode sort of becomes very useless, you know. So they need to add ND filter. So as far as video camera, also for photography, I would say they're about even. You know, in certain situations, LG V10 is going to give you better photos, better videos. In certain situations, the Note 10 will give you better photos and videos. I wouldn't say one's exceptionally better than the other. So if you're worried about camera performance overall, I wouldn't worry about it. They're about even. All right. With that said, let's move on to speakers. Speakers on the Note 5 are quite loud. It's not bad. The LG V10, not as loud. I usually walk my dog in the morning, and I usually take the Note 5 or LG V10. When I take the Note 5, I can hear myself, I can hear my music really well. LG V10, not so much. Alright, so you want good speakers, go with the Note 5. If you speak on the speakerphone often, this is an absolute necessity for you, then go with the Note 5. Alright, let's go ahead and talk about the 32-bit DAC. Alright, 32-bit DAC is only useful if you're using wired headphones, alright, wired speakers, wired headphones. In my testing with high-quality MP3 files and stuff like Pandora in high-quality mode, it made absolutely no difference, right? and I use my Beats Studio Wireless wired, and I couldn't tell a difference whatsoever. But if you're using, like, I think AFLAC higher bitrate, it may make a difference. And also if you're using higher quality headphones, it may make a difference. But so far I haven't been able to with my headphones. There's absolutely no difference. Maybe I'm not using high quality enough audio files. But if you listen to a lot of online music, 32-bit DAC can be kind of useless. It doesn't really improve the sound. I'm just telling you the truth. But if you have high quality audio files, high quality headphones wired, it may make a huge difference. All right. So just want to point that out. If you're crazy, if you have an audio file who needs the absolute best sound, and you use these high quality files with high quality headphones, it should make a big difference. But otherwise, it's sort of useless. It doesn't really do anything. I'm just telling you the truth. All right. As far as, let's actually talk about some other things. As far as SD card, battery life. Let's talk about battery life. Battery life on the Note 5, when I first got it, it was pretty horrible. But the more I used it, it got better. Now I would say it's actually really decent. Not as good as the Note 4, but not too far off it, right? LG V10, on the other hand, has horrible battery life. One of the worst I've seen for 5.7 inch screen. But it's not a problem, because if you get an extra battery, a charger, then now you have way longer battery than the Note 5. So it really depends on your usage. But if you don't want to use extra batteries, if you don't want to use extra charger, you just want to keep it simple, the Note 5 is going to give you like 2 to 3 hours more screen life. It's going to get you that all-day life, even though they have both same type of battery, 3000 milliamp hour, same capacity. Now the huge difference is in the display technology, in my opinion. The AMOLED screens can get a lot brighter with a lot less energy, whereas the LG V10, it doesn't get as bright, and also LCD technology is way behind. As far as all the smartphones I've tested, the AMOLED screens just simply have better technology. When it's black, when your background is black, it will not actually use any energy, versus LCD uses some energy. The difference is not huge, but if you're talking about all-day battery life, it does make a huge difference. So AMOLED screens are great for that, right? And a lot of people worry about burning in your screen with AMOLED screens. As far as my opinion on that, I have a Note 2 that I've used as a live security cam, which has this, which is on 24/7, and that has a really bad burn-in. Right, but that's because I have it on 24/7. It depends on certain uses, but for most daily usage, it's not going to actually make a difference unless you set your, sleep off time to like 30 minutes. Why would you want to? But maybe there's a certain reason why you want to do that. Then that could cause burn-in. If you have any reasons to leave your screen on for more than, let's say, like 15 minutes, a lot, then you will want to go with an LCD screen. So that's pretty much it. But otherwise, it will not make a difference at all. So with that said, battery life on the Note 5 is a lot better. Again, you can get extra batteries for $20-30 on Amazon for the LG V10, and you can go all day. You can go for a whole week, get 5 batteries. I mean, batteries are cheap. You can wait for the knockoff batteries, which are just as good. I'll get them for like $5 each. You can go camping for a whole week. So that's not a huge issue. Okay, so let's actually next talk about SD card. All right, SD card option is huge. A lot of people like myself, sometimes I'll use a micro SD card. All of my 4K cameras have a micro SD card. Whenever I go to CS, every year, I'll record, and I'll actually be able to upload that video straight to YouTube by inserting into my phone. Or you can use an OTG flash drive also. But having a micro SD card is a great option for those of you who transfer a lot of big media. then you'll want to have SD card option, because you can have 64 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte. Now they have 256 gigabyte, even higher if you want. If you want to use your phone as portable storage without carrying an extra hard disk for your work, if you do this all the time, then the LG V10 will come in handy without having an OTG cable. I mean, of course, you can do the same thing with the Note 5, but you will have to have an OTG cable. You actually have to transfer the files, unless you want to have an OTG cable dangling out all the time, and you can easily lose it. You know, it's not as simple. So that's the whole point. So storage option is much greater on the LG V10 or any other smartphone with storage option. So in that sense, you may want to go with the LG V10. All right, next let's talk about the software. Performance has everything to do with the software. In general, the Note 5 does run a lot quicker. I find RAM management is better with the LG V10, especially I'm playing a game like, and I'm playing like Real Racing 3, and I switch to my Gmail, I switch to my Twitter, I forget about it, I come back to the game, and it's still at the same point. Versus the Note 5, if you try to do that, the game will reset. It's got an aggressive RAM management. If you play a lot of games and you like to switch back and forth between games and you like to resume your game, the LG V10 might actually be better because it keeps your game where the last state it was in. With that said, if you don't do that, it's only a small percentage of people who do that, like play games and go back, or maybe not if you're a hardcore gamer. So those are the differences. But if you need better RAM management, go with the LG V10. If you need, more raw performance, like sometimes on the LG V10 your games slow down, or if you live in like a hot country where heating temperature becomes a problem, then the Note 5 might be better. The Note 5 never heats up. You can put it on extreme heat test. Well, I'll have a test of that also, but if you put it into extreme test, it will keep performing. It's like the Energizer Bunny. It never keeps, it keeps going, basically. Where the LG V10, 808, yeah, Qualcomm just screwed up this year. And if you look at the benchmarks, 808 only scores maybe like 51,000. The previous 805 still scores around the same score. You know what I'm saying? As far as raw performance, the Note 4 doesn't have those problems. It doesn't heat up and slow down everything, but the 808 does. So it's really Qualcomm's fault. Until we see Qualcomm Snapdragon 820, it's going to be an issue. 810 I think is actually a little bit better, even though it did have heat issues. But I didn't see much of that slowdown during my games or my, camera freezing up. And that was the worst. I had actually a bunch of periscopes for those of you following me on Periscope, and I had that video where I was going over Bay Bridge, and I had to switch back to my Note 5 because my LG V10 heated up, and I even turned on my air conditioning at full, and I was all freezing, So 808 is a huge problem for power-hungry users like myself. Right, I think we covered a lot of it. Also, fingerprint sensor. I actually don't use fingerprint sensor. I don't like using it that much. I just feel like it's more pain to actually get it working. Even with the LG V10, it is comfortable. But I just like unlocking my phone with swipe because I never lose my phone. I don't have any problems with security. I don't go to work. I don't leave my phone on my desk. I don't have none of those problems. I don't have people I can't trust in my house. So if security is a huge concern for you, definitely the LG V10 could be better, easier fingerprint sensor. But then again, I found out if you like to leave your phone on the table and use it more often, then the Note 5 is actually a lot easier because you can unlock it, whereas the LG V10, you can't unlock it unless you have the phone face down. Alright, so those are the issues I encountered in real life. But again, I'm not an avid fan of fingerprint sensor, just because people can just chop your finger off. It's not the best security in the world. You know what I'm saying? If you're dead, no one can find out your password, but if you're dead and you have a fingerprint sensor, they can still cut off your finger, you know, and use it. And I'm sure advanced hackers will find a way to get fingerprints off your house or somewhere and off your cups and unlock your security easily. So I think fingerprint security is overrated. Maybe iris scanner, I don't know. I just feel like the best security is having a great password. I don't think it can beat it. I don't know. This is my opinion. Alright, as far as multi-window features on the Note 5 and the LG V10, the Note 5 is a lot better. It has floating windows, it's got split windows, where the LG V10 just has split windows, which works just as well as the one on Note 5. I actually don't find myself using the floating windows that much. So in terms of that, I mean, if you do a certain job where you need to like multitask on your phone, it may actually work out to get a Note 5. But Note 5 is certainly more advanced. Alright, so not a huge factor. Overall software, I think Note 5 offers a lot more different things. You know, like you can use while your phone, while you have a glove on or something. So in terms of that, I would say the Note 5 is a little bit better. Alright, and as far as custom ROMs and rooting goes, also the Note 5 is a lot better because it comes with an unlocked bootloader, unless you have AT&T or Verizon. Samsung phones are actually the best in the world because they don't have a locked bootloader. Unlike, you know, most Android phones, even stock Android, you have to unlock the bootloader, upon which you will lose everything. With Samsung phones, you can go ahead and install Twerp, root it, and boom, you're done. Boom shakalaka, you know? So in terms of rooting and custom ROMs, just because Samsung phones have had very good development community, the Note 5 isn't bad. The only thing bad is that we're not getting Cyanogen mod ROMs or any AOSP ROMs on Exynos because Cyanogen mod team doesn't really support Exynos anymore because of the code and whatnot. So I would say it's better still with the Samsung phones. The Note 5 is still going to get better rooting and custom ROM support. With the LG V10, it does still have a locked bootloader, and LG doesn't provide unlocking tool. It's all these developers figuring out how to root it, so we have to always find an root exploit. So for rooting and custom ROMs, LG V10 is not going to be that great, just like the LG G4. I still haven't even rooted because I have the Korean version, which there's no root method. So if you want good ROMs, rooting, custom ROM support, if you want to, like that video I uploaded the other day, if you want to turn your Galaxy Note 5 into a Note 10, you know, in a couple of years, or you know, Note 7 or whatever, you'll be able to do it with the Note 5. LG V10, not so much. It doesn't have a great shelf life. If you know how to root and install custom ROMs, Samsung phones are gonna last you like 2 more years. Like the Note 3, you don't have to be stuck on whatever Samsung update it last. You can get the Note 5 firmware straight ported to your Note 3. So in terms of that, the Note series will be better. Right? So we've covered a ton of stuff today, and you know, I may have not covered everything, but I just want to make this sort of a talk about Android video while I'm driving here, so I have nothing else to do. And this video should help you decide on which phone is for you. I hope it does. Anyway, I'm gonna keep driving. I'm going to my parents' house here. But if you like these Android long talk series where I go ahead and talk about in detail about all the different things, I mean, I tried all of the phones, so I don't have to have the phone with me. We can just talk about it, and I can give you my honest, straight thoughts about it. If you like this, do let me know. I'll do more of these whenever I'm driving long distances in my car. And as always, I'll stay on Android.